How is everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing? Come on, y'all. Y'all can do better than that. My name is Joy Marie McKenzie. I'm the senior entertainment editor for Essence Magazine. How was that episode? Right? Very cool. And Susan Kelechi Watson, she's played one half of hashtag Couple Goals for the past 3 seasons on This Is Us as Beth Pearson. She was born right here in Brooklyn. All right, Brooklyn in the house. Shout out Park Slope. Mad gentrified. She went down. I'm fine with it. I've made peace with it. She trekked down to Washington, D.C. to attend Howard University. Go Terps, but that's okay. My mama went there, it's okay. Before coming back to New York to attend NYU Tisch. Like any New York actress, she's had several roles on Law and Order before her headline-making role on Louie, and she's been on The Blacklist and so many other shows that we love before landing at This Is Us. So please do help me welcome Susan Kelechi Watson.
Yes. Thank you. Gosh, can't take Howard nowhere.
Nope.
I love it.
They are in the
Where's
house.
Where are they at? Okay. You know. I love it. I love it.
I've heard that all my life.
Well,
Go Terps.
we don't stop.
No. But I feel like this is like the perfect first question for this type of audience. But how did you get your SAG card?
That was a good one. First of all, thank you guys for coming and watching. That's always so cool. We just appreciate y'all so much. Okay, how'd I get my SAG card? Digging in the crates now. I remember I did, and they had to like tap Hartley me, because like any other working actor, I was gonna wait to the last possible minute to get this card.
Lord.
So I did a few like, the roles where you got more than 5 lines, and so they were like, okay, and you can do that like 2 or 3 times before you have to get your SAG card, and so that's how I got mine. I did like a few roles, and then when they said, if you don't buy your SAG card now, you cannot do this, then I said, okay, I will get it, and it was one of those things where they had to take like a.
What were you waiting on? I'm curious.
I have no money.
Oh, okay.
That thing is expensive.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I was waiting until I had the coin. But I think they did a thing where like I was able to take some of it out of my check or something like that, or they started to do that, and that's how I got my card. But I was so proud when I got my card. It was like I'm legit, man. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. I know you spent a large part of your early career out in LA, but I wonder what made. No, you didn't. That's
I
what
was right
Wikipedia
here
said.
Wikipedia, child.
They're
Bye.
so wrong. Because I was gonna ask, what made you come back to the East Coast?
No, it's actually the opposite. I spent so much of my time in New York. I'm just such a New Yorker. I don't know if anybody else feels me. Yeah. I spent so much of my time in New York, and but also just I had, it's like a tough road, but for whatever reason, my path was kind of funneled into television. A lot of people, it's like theater, or as they're kind of making their way, but I would kind of get these roles on TV, and so I was doing okay out here, and then things really slowed down, and I thought, well, let me try something different, and I went out to LA for a little while, and things slowed down there, so I came back to New York, and then I just hit this really long stretch of time. It was probably about 3 years, where like it was zip, zero, nothing. And I thought, what is going on here? And I turned it into like this time of really spiritual growth and sort of development, and kind of focusing on what I should do should it open up. You know what I mean? You sort of, the vision started to kind of increase, and I thought, how can I prepare myself? If I truly believe this is gonna happen, how do I prepare myself in this time? Maybe that's what this time is for. I thought, once I got over the negativity of it, because of course, the first thing to do is beat yourself up and then go beat up your agent or whoever you think it's their fault or whatever it is. But then you start to think, okay, so if maybe this time is for some kind of use. And I thought, well, what could it be about? And I started to explore preparation. and that type of thing. But I did all that on this coast. And then the time got so long, I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to like rest. Maybe this is about like rest and sleep. Maybe there'll be a point where I don't have a lot of rest, just anything you could, And then, now I look back on that and I was like, ooh, those naps were good because
You're
there's
not
not a lot of
now.
rest now. Yeah.
So can someone please update her Wikipedia page? Because I just don't want it to be. That's okay. No, for real. Whenever I look at you, I'm like, you're too young to be playing a mom. And I wonder, because a lot of actresses talk about this sort of trepidation about going for those roles. When you were a mom on Louie, that was sort of headline making. You were this sort of black mom to white children. But did you have any, I mean, it was funny. Did you have any trepidation about going for roles like that? At only, in your 30s.
You know what? Who Beth is so, there's so much more to the one label. And I think it was not choosing to label her and just kind of see the totality of her. What I would say to that is that as an artist as well, it's always important to keep pursuing as many, different characters as you can, because it's not something where unless that's what you choose, that you want to say that's the only thing I'm going to play. And maybe that's what people fear, is that it'll become the only thing, or they'll be locked into something kind of early. And so that's kind of the thing you work, sometimes you work against, is sort of just being typed into something. But more importantly than labeling it mom and sort of feeling confined by that is really looking at who the person is and then bringing a fullness to it, so that maybe even the audience doesn't just see her as mom or just the wife, but that they begin to see her as a whole individual and start to wonder, like, what is her life? What is it outside of being a mom? What is it outside of being a wife? And that's part of the work that we do as an actor. So, more I try to see Beth as a woman, who had dreams and hopes and was a teenager once and then fell in love. And then after she fell in love, she got married. And after she got married, she had some kids and they moved to a suburb. It's just this progression of things rather than this one label. And that sort of helps to just open up the character rather than to see them in this like finite way. So I don't think there should be a fear of it. I think if anything, you look at the words, you look at what they're writing, you look at the story they're telling, and how grateful am I to be a part of like this story. If I let the word mom stop me, it would have stopped all of this and all of this storytelling. Yeah. And moms are really beautiful, wonderful people.
I mean,
can
yeah.
we say? Yeah, like, and we come in, there's so many types. And moms can still be cool. Like, look at you, you're so cool. You know, and like pretty and hot and all these things. And like, I think we because we look at our own moms and we go, yeah, they stopped being sexy and cool because they're our moms. But like, for real.
There has been this narrative in Hollywood to say, oh, I don't want to play the mom.
Yeah.
But
if we really look at those, break down what that is, it can be so many things if we allow it to get creative. Yeah.
Especially when you have amazing writers in the writer's room who produce an amazing episode where we do get to see more of Beth than we ever have before. I want to take a question from the audience, and I think it might have fell because I don't see it in my little hand. But it was from Allison, and she said, how did you get the role of Beth?
I auditioned for it. I went to Telsey. Anybody? Yeah, we're all actors in here. So we went, 311, 411, 43rd, West 43rd, thank you, 10th floor, something like that. And it was the room in the back. I'm just being specific. You know the one. And it was me and, Lord forgive me, I'm not remembering who actually auditioned me. But we did the two sides. And I remember him being like, oh, that was good. You want to do it again? And like, we did it again. It was a normal audition, like any other audition. Like, it literally, get the email from your agent, just super normal. And then I was auditioning for my homegirl that Nice play at the same time. And I was kind of focused on getting her play. Because again, I was in this drought of some things were starting to happen again, and so I was auditioning for her play at the same time. And so I went, I did an abominable audition for her play, and I was so caught up in how bad the audition was that I was speaking to her about it, and she was like agreeing with me of how bad it was. And
oh no.
that's okay, we cool. I mean, she's my friend. But we got to keep it real. I mean, we knew it was not right. And at the same time, I lied to you not, it's almost like an episode of This Is Us. I get a beep on the other line, and I'm like, hold on, it's my agents. I go over, and they're like, so they have a pin in you for the Untitled Dan Fogelman project, and they want you to come back in for producers and all that. Oh, all right, cool. Get back on the line with Danai. Girl, that was terrible. I can't believe that audition was so bad. Meanwhile, the other thing, and she says to me, she's like, well, maybe God has like a pilot for you or something. And if you would have left my show, I'd be mad that you left to go do a pilot in the middle of my play. And I was like, maybe, who knows? I don't know. And
just
then
prophesying over your whole life.
Just, so it's just I say it because it's interesting to look at how we perceive things, like how we get so focused on one thing and not see the totality of what's going on, And so I was that person. And the next week I went in for Glenn Fikara and John Renqua, who are two of the executive producers. They did the pilot episode. They do multiple episodes in a season. And I went in for them, and I had this really fun, great audition with them. Just these two scenes from the pilot. And I thought, oh, wow, that went really well. I don't think that I'll be able to do anything more than that. And then I saw a really wonderful actress going after me, a good friend of mine who went in after me. And I know she's really fantastic, too. And I knew she would leave it all there. And it was one of those things that I was like, they're getting to see really beautiful Black women come in and do this piece. And, I feel like we're all leaving it in there, and we'll see what they go with. Because there's a sort of peace when that happens, like that you couldn't really do anything else. So you're like, all right, well, at this stage, at least I can't beat myself up. It's more about who they want. And then they called and they said they would like to see you in LA. And I thought, oh, great. Okay. And they were like, well, they can show your tape or you can come to LA. What did you think of the script? Do you love the script? Do you want to go to LA? And I said, oh, yeah, the script. Did y'all send me that? Because I did not read the script.
Oh, Lord.
I had gotten so used to just reading sides. We get so many during pilot season that you just kind of keep reading the sides and you keep going. I got to read the script. So I ran home and I read the script, and immediately after I put it down, I picked up the phone and I said, what is the first flight you could get me on? I need to go. And they literally, it was maybe 10 hours later, I was on the next flight in the morning, 6-something morning, to go to LA. And I went in the room. There was 4 other beautiful other Black actresses in the room with me, and we were all kind of in our zone getting ready. And I went in, and SK was in the room, and I knew him from NYU. We weren't like close friends or anything, but we knew each other and we were cool and everything. And so I went in, and it felt like somebody that I could play with we knew each other's rhythm, and we knew how to play with one another because we had kind of read from the same playbook. And that was the final audition that I did. And I called Danai afterwards, and I was like, I think this one went really good. She was like, I think this is going to be it.
She knew.
Yeah.
She knew. She was a prophet. Very interesting. Fans were sort of desperate for seasons to find out more about Beth, and we finally did in this episode. What was your first thought when you read the script and you said, oh, snap, this is all me? Because so much of the episodes are intertwined and go back and forth through time. Yeah. But this one was all Beth, which was great to see.
That surprised me. I'll tell you when my old snap moment was. I was talking to, I was outside of the trailers, and I guess it was a normal work day, like everybody was there. But we were heading into the episode right before we went on our Christmas break. And I saw Chris Sullivan by the trailer, and I said, like, hey, what's up, homie? We're just talking. And he's like, yeah, so I'll see you. I said, yeah, I'll see you later. He's like, yeah, I'll see you after the New Year. And I said, where are you going? And he was like, oh, I'm going away because I'm not in the next episode. And I said, oh, you're not? And he said, yeah, nobody, you're the only one who is. And I said, what? I was like, what episode? What's
See,
going
you got to read those
Yeah.
scripts,
I
man.
still ain't read the scripts.
You got to read those scripts.
I don't know. Maybe it's my lucky charm, though. I just, don't read the script. But no, I did. I just hadn't. I think I hadn't gotten word yet, or like it just, And so that was the moment I found out, and I couldn't. I didn't quite wrap my brain around it yet. And so when I got it, and it was initially named Bethany. I think it was Bethany or Bethany Clark. And I thought, wow, oh my goodness. And then I got to see how they explored the character, you know, in her youth, and then, you know, what was going on with me now. And I got all this new information about her. So that was the next level of it. But the initial oh snap moment came from Chris Sullivan. Yeah.
Right. Shout out.
Yeah,
Shout out to
Chris.
And the casting of your mom, Felicia Rashad, just so perfect.
So,
H you again.
Yeah, H you. I was so disappointed. No. I literally screamed when they told me that. I literally went like, "What? How did you get it so right?" That was literally
so
my
right.
words. Yeah,
So
they
right.
just
And it
got
wasn't your
so
first
right.
time working with her.
No.
But what was it like learning from her on set? I mean, I believe you had worked with her in Raisin in the Sun. As she was your director.
Yeah.
But as sort of your scene partner, a person you're playing off of, what was that like? That seems like a dream.
Yeah, a dream, and like there was some anxiety, you know, because like she's taught me so much, and you know, part of me is like, oh, girl, you better get this right. And then you're looking at someone who has been a mentor and a teacher in a way, as a peer in that moment, because you kind of have to let all that go and play the scene. And so that was the challenge. But once I kind of pushed through and then, you know, delved in and had a level of comfort there, then we were able to kind of, at least I was able to kind of feel like, all right, I can just kind of be here and dive in, because she's so ready and so welcoming and vulnerable and just so in the character that it makes it easy for me to just be in that space as well. So yeah, it was just a delight, man. It's just a delight to work for. It's one of those things where, I mean, gosh, look, I get most of my scenes are with SK, then I get Felicia, and they're just setting me up, man. They're making it easy
blessed
on a sister. Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe Ebony Freeman, who wrote the episode, she did a fantastic job at really working in some narratives that Black women we deal with often. And I think one that we see from your on-screen mom was this narrative of the strong Black woman. You know, you learn that no spoilers because everyone's seen it, but you know, you learn that your father has cancer, and she's like, okay, time to clean up. What was it like for you embodying that? Because I know for me personally, it gets hard sometimes. You don't want to have to be the strong Black woman all of the time. But how is that playing out on screen for you? How was it?
I have no perception of the strength that people talk about Beth having. Personally, when I'm playing her, it always kind of surprised me. I was like, really? She comes off strong? Like, it just surprises me.
Does.
Because I'm not playing it at all. I'm hoping that this sounds right. Sometimes you sound so actory, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to.
You're amongst your own.
Okay, I'm trying to say this in a way that sounds like I'm hearing it in my head. But I don't intend to play strength in any way. I intend for the character and her family to get through a day in the best way that they can. Do you know what I mean? I don't intend to play a strong wife. I intend for my husband to get through the day in the best way he can with the support that we promised each other. Those are kind of the intentions when I go into it. And even her as a person, I try to have her, she wants to metabolize things in a way so that she can then maybe be able to help her child get through it, or metabolize it in a way so that she can know the next thing to do. And I think those things come off as strong. This is what I'm guessing, but I don't go into it that way. And I think that's what we do as Black women as well. You know what I mean? It's a world that we have to navigate that has repeatedly told us is repeatedly trying to invalidate us in a way. So you want to keep doing the next thing that gets you to the next place so that you can do the next best thing. And doing that strengthens you. Doing that, there's a strength and a courageousness to facing a moment that somebody tells you that you should not be here for, or what you look like is not enough for. There's a strength and a courage to go, nope, I'm gonna keep going. Nope, I'm not gonna believe it. Nope, there's something for me. Nope, when you exercise that muscle, any muscle that you exercise becomes strong, right? So there's a strength to that. There's a strength to not giving up when people tell you that you should. They kind of low-key tell you, you know, you shouldn't what that's not pretty or that's not right or that's you know what I mean? If that's always sort of the narrative and you continually get up, just getting up and facing a day is combating that narrative. That is making you stronger. So that is what comes off, because I think that's what we're innately doing, is being strong. You know what I mean?
It's been passed down,
Yeah.
for sure. Another thread that I loved that I think is also sort of unique to Black women, when we see young Beth trying her hardest to shine at her school and get that senior solo, and then in walks in this amazing chocolate Black girl, and she's like, oh, there's my competition.
Yeah.
You know, there can only be one. And I'm wondering, have you ever experienced that in Hollywood? And I'm sure you have. I mean, people talk about it, but
no, I don't
Good.
see. I don't see it as competition, because why would I don't think we should put that on ourselves too. There's so much. You know what I mean? I think there's enough room for all of us, and the blessing is, if it's for you, it can't be for you. So if it wasn't mine and it was the next beautiful queen's, then then it's hers. You know what I mean? But I allow it to inspire rather than to make some kind of jealousy or something that's just unnecessary. We just don't need it. You know, we're all trying to illuminate this experience, so that people understand it, and maybe somebody did it in a way that served it better than I did. But I don't see it as a competitive thing. I just haven't, and I'm grateful for that. But there, like I said, if you see it like there's not enough, then I guess I understand that. But I don't think that that's true. I think that's kind of like the lie that gets perpetuated. Like there can only be this. Okay, well, somebody said that and somebody kept perpetuating that. But we're the generation that's going to say, no, there's more than enough. Okay, so she got that. All right, the next thing I'm going to go get. And then all of a sudden, we're starting to be cast in these roles that people think should be, was going to initially be one ethnicity. And now it's not. Now they opened it up to a Black woman. So now that path has been created. And these paths keep opening up. And as long as we keep our imagination open and believe that that can happen, those are the things that will start to happen for us,
I love
right?
that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've always said that parents are the first dream killers. Hi, Mom.
Good luck.
Shout out to my mom who dashed my dreams of becoming a model. That's fine. I'm not harboring any feelings or anything, but we see that sort of play out on screen as well. I'm wondering, did you ever deal with that as you were pursuing your passion of dance and then later acting?
I don't know that I would say that. I get what you're saying about being a dream killer. I think what they were trying to do was to make sure that I would be okay. And in doing so, there's a generation that there is such a thing that's there is something called a dream. Like that sounds like a dream. That sounds like a fantasy. Like you know, talk about what will bring in money. Talk about what's hard work. Talk about what you earn, because that's something tangible. Like if you do A, then you get B, then you get C. Like our dreams take us from A to Z with like no in between. They can't see how do you get there.
Especially for immigrant. And Caribbean families. My father's Bohemian, so he says no before he says yes. I know your parents are Jamaican,
right?
So that adds another element. Of
they don't. That's not seen as like a legit job option, really. So it wasn't even that they were trying to kill something. They were trying to say, find something that is real first, and then if you want to go follow a dream, go do that. But we need you to be okay. We need you to make money and be able to support yourself and all of those things. So initially, that's what they were saying, and then they saw me act, and thank God they just went from there, and they said, you know what? Okay, you know what I mean? They and I never. I mean, and this happened like maybe my freshman year at Howard or something. So after that, they never said anything about me not being an actor again, to their credit, because it's so foreign to them. So God bless them for it, because it was very foreign, but they saw my passion for it and my love for it. And
do you remember what production that was at Howard?
Yeah, we did like a freshman we made up a production. They didn't let freshmen perform, so we were like, no, we're gonna perform. And so we made up a production, and we did it, and they came to see it. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. In the final scene, we see you dance so beautifully in a scene choreographed by Nia Brantley. You don't get those hands and those arms by just a few rehearsals. You obviously have training and have danced. But did the writers' room know that? Because I know collectively they decided that this was going to be Beth's path. Did they know, or was it just sort of like, happenstance, like the perfect coincidence?
I put the bug in Kay Oyegun's ear. Do y'all know Kay? Oh, I thought somebody said something.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah,
they're being shy.
I put. Okay, great. So I put the bug in her ear in like season 1. And we're always invited into the writer's room, and I was such a newbie with like being a series regular and like having access to a writer's room. But I would notice that they would incorporate bits of people's lives if they shared them, they would incorporate certain things. And so one day I was in there and I thought, maybe there's something I could throw out there that. And so after I left the writer's room, I text Kay, and I said, hey, I used to dance if that's anything you guys need. And she said, okay, cool. And I said, okay. Yeah, just tossing it out there. And then we're in our 3rd season, fast forward, and I get a text from Kay say, hey, so you really dance? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, but like for real? And I was like, yeah. She was like, but you love it? And I said, yes. And she said, okay. And then just silence. And then I get a call from Isaac Ansbacher, who is one of our showrunners, and he was like, hey, so we have this art coming up, and we want you to train and dance. And I was like, wow, really? And then he told me it was ballet, and I was like, oh. And then
it's a little tough. That's all right.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I did, and I've told this before, but I did say this to him, and I was like, you sure? You don't mean Afro-Brazilian? Or like, and he was like,
a little modern
like,
dance.
yeah, like modern. And he was like, nope, ballet. And I was like, okay. And he was like, well, we're gonna give you somebody to train with you. And that's when I started training, and I trained for a few months, like 2 months,
Wow.
2 months in a week in ballet. And it was really dusting out the cobwebs and doing all, but Nia was really spectacular. I have to say, she was just wonderful at making it feel like my own, because ballet was something when I grew up and did it, the people who taught me did not make me feel like my body was supposed to be doing ballet, that your stomach sticks out, your butt's too big, and I felt like, oh, maybe this is not for me. And so that love for it wasn't there. And then Nia came and made me feel like, oh, I could love this. Oh, wow, I could love ballet. I didn't know that. So she made it fit me and my body and helped me to learn to really enjoy it and the beauty that it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As a dancer, I did it for 16 years before I gave it up.
Wow. So
Trained at Alvin Ailey.
Yeah.
So I know those hands were good. Those hands, those arms.
Thank you.
But no, it was a really beautiful scene. And I think what I have loved for seasons throughout This Is Us is this sort of subtle or not so subtle nod to Black hair. Even in this, we love our hair. Even in this episode, when you and your cousin Zoe go down, and then you guys are like, it's late at night, you put your scarves on. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have been real without that scarf,
Oh, I always make sure I wear a scarf.
Yeah.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wore a scarf here.
Me too. I had a couple pink crowns on the train. It's fine. Yep. But I love that the show sort of embodies that. And I think a lot of women feel the same way from all the headlines that I've seen. How does that make you feel, especially in an industry where so much of hair matters when you're embodying character, and a lot of people don't get it right?
Yeah. Gosh, it makes me feel really good. That actually makes me feel good, because it was my little shout out to Black women, just to know that I am you, you are me, we're all out here, this is how it is for us. And I'm natural, my hair doesn't have any chemicals, and I was like, and so then Beth doesn't have any chemicals, and so she kind of will change it up every week. That's just what is. And God bless it, the writers, the executive, nobody stopped me. Not a soul stopped me. So I got to give it up because look, if they would have stopped me, then that would have been an end to that. But I am sort of innately, look, I'm in New York, I'm Jamaican, I'm from Brooklyn. There's a part of me like, unless you say no and like stop me, I'm just gonna keep going. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where I came to the table read after having done the audition with like a cute little ponytail that was curly, my own hair. I came to the table read with like some real natty like dread looking twists, you know, all the way down to here. And they looked at me when I walked in. They said, "Oh, well, that looks really nice." And I said, "Thank you." And I just sat down. I said, "Okay, step one. You know, I can wear these. Okay, great."
We have all been there.
And then you know, and then eventually you have to take it out. So then I took them out, and then I did something else to my hair. I just thought this is what a black woman would do, and so I just kept doing it. And then Dan Fogelman, we don't talk about him enough and how amazing he is, but Dan Fogelman, he then says to me one day, he says, "Sue, you know what my favorite part about editing is? Seeing what hairstyle you're gonna wear next." He said, "I know more about black hair than I've ever wanted to know in my whole life. I never knew I would want to know this much. I know about coconut oil. I know about braids. I know about scars." Yes. And he's like, "The writer's room has taught me so much." And that's our writer's room. They want to know. They want to learn. They're curious, and they want what's real. And so it's this tangent. You know, we work in tangent. It's their pursuit and our pursuit of what is real and truthful that makes it all kind of come together. So all those things had to work hand in hand for me to be able to do it. You know, so it's one thing, I can't do that alone. You know, somebody has to go, "You know what, cool, keep doing that."
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I could talk to you all day, but sadly, we don't have so much time left. So my last question I have to ask, what is next for next season? I know you can't tell us much, but Sterling did talk to Essence recently back in May, and he said, you know, he would love for you guys to shoot on location in Philadelphia. Isn't that a great idea?
Such a good idea.
And we kind of get hints because we see the flash forwards, but what can you tell us?
You know what? I can't tell you anything because the truth is I actually don't know. I am at the point in the year where they haven't run down anything to us yet. So the honest truth is that I don't know. So the exciting part is that I can predict with people and all that stuff. But what I do know is that we are going to go to Philly, possibly shoot on location. I'm piggybacking off of Sterling. And we'll have like a new house, a new home. And then Beth is going to pursue teaching dance. And I think that's all I know right now, and that's the God's honest truth. Sometimes we have to, you know, not give things away, but at this point, I honestly don't have anything to hide. I have nothing. Yeah.
All right, you're off the hook.
Yeah.
Give it up, you guys, for Susan Kelechi Watson.